Hey guys, what's going on? It's me again. Just want to come in here and talk a little bit of why I think Vecna will be coming as our Chapter 30 killer and how he will return alongside all the Stranger Things content for our Chapter 30 paragraph. So like we've discussed before, we know that our new Chapter 30 is only going to be a paragraph including one killer. According to the roadmap, this is all that we're getting. But that excludes a few limitations and a few loopholes, to say the least. So to answer our first question, who is going to be our new Chapter 30 killer for this chapter? Of course, this would be Vecna if we think that Stranger Things is coming back for Chapter 30. Now, what evidence do I even have for my claims, and why is it that I think Vecna is so likely? Why do I keep pushing for Vecna as our Chapter 30 killer? Well, we have a few reasons, and a few hints pointing towards Vecna possibly coming back as our Chapter 30 killer. Of course, we know that we used to have Stranger Things in Dead by Daylight, but it was removed due to Netflix saying so and not wanting to renew the contract in Dead by Daylight. While this chapter was really well received and a fan favorite, it didn't last very long, and they took it out quite quickly from implementing it into the game. This was not Behavior's decision, as Behavior Interactive has stated before that they never want to remove content from Dead by Daylight. They just didn't put in their contract that it couldn't happen. Every time we hear Matthew Cote talk about a return of Stranger Things, he always says that this kind of thing will never happen, where Stranger Things or any other license would be taken back out of the game. It looks like this was a one-time mistake, and Behavior will not be repeating this. So we can rest assured that if Vecna and the rest of Stranger Things comes back to Dead by Daylight, it will never be removed again, and we won't all have to go through that heartbreak again. So let's start our evidence and reasoning with some speculation. What we do know about Chapter 30 is that this is the first chapter to get its own dedicated livestream, which has never happened before. We only get live streams for anniversary events, which happens once a year. But this time we're getting a live stream for Chapter 30, so this is clearly a very big deal coming up. If Stranger Things really was to return to Dead by Daylight, it would be a huge celebration, so it would be worthy of a live stream, and Behavior knows this and would celebrate it as such. I can't really think of any other license that deserving of a live stream, not necessarily because it's not a popular or desired license, just because of how much drama and story has revolved around said license. We know how Stranger Things and Behavior Interactive have interacted before, and how we've had it in the game and removed, so it coming back into the game is a big deal and the first time that anything like this has ever happened. I think that is very deserving of a live stream, and maybe some explanation too. So along with the confirmation of a live stream coming for Chapter 30, we also know that this is going to be a license with a quote-unquote big L. So this is a very, very big license. And everybody is pointing towards it being a new license, but we can also look back in the history of Dead by Daylight and know that one of their most popular, best-selling chapters was Stranger Things. So of course this is a license with a big L, because it's Stranger Things. And Stranger Things has become even more popular as the years have gone by, especially after it was taken out of Dead by Daylight. Stranger Things Season 4, Vecna, Eddie, all these things are now mainstream and household names. So Dead by Daylight would absolutely consider this a license with a big L. Now keep in mind, this needs to be a license that is as big as Alien, if not more, and I think Stranger Things absolutely lives up to this. It would also make sense introducing a classic, very, very recognizable license with Alien, and now a modern, very, very recognizable license with Stranger Things. It's like poetry, it rhymes. So on with the speculation. If we're only getting a new killer, we know that's going to be Vecna. That is the only probable killer that makes any sense. Of course, we can still get some sort of Mind Flayer, or maybe even Billy Hargrove, but that is very, very unlikely. Vecna is definitely the top contender for this spot. Now, of course, according to the roadmap, we know we are only getting a killer, so what about the rest of the Stranger Things content? Normally, we would get a new survivor or a new map with it. And yes, maybe we're not getting a new survivor and a new map, but what we could be getting are technicalities. Yes, Vecna is coming in as our new killer, but the return of Stranger Things would almost act like new survivors. We would get Nancy back, Steve, Jonathan, and maybe even they would add a legendary skin for Steve as Eddie Munson. That would absolutely sell well. We know that behavior is a business, and business is like money, so creating new legendary skins like Eddie Munson would make so much sense and sell so well, and make so much money. Stranger Things fans and Dead by Daylight fans alike would definitely purchase these and go crazy for this. So now moving past the speculation, we get into evidence, because we do have evidence that Stranger Things is absolutely 100% coming back to Dead by Daylight. We just don't know when. So back in the beginning of last year, we actually got a couple leaks. one that ended up being fake and one that ended up being very real. The fake leak I won't even waste time on. It was just a fan-made 3D model of Vecna, and it didn't actually have any credibility. But the second leak was 100% confirmed to be real, and this was a reworking and remapping of Hawkins' laboratory as a new map and a new reworked map. In this reworked map, we saw a few adjustments to the layout of the actual building and Hawkins' Labs itself, but it also added new elements that Season 4 introduced, like the Rainbow Room. This was given to us through a leak, and we also saw it being played by a Demogorgon. The thing that made this leak seem so fake was at the bottom it said Demogorgon Dash instead of Channel Abyss, which is what it says in the live game, so this was approached and treated as a fake leak until it was eventually 100% confirmed. Now, by the time that this map was leaked, Netflix had already revoked the license and Stranger Things was no longer in Dead by Daylight, but somehow the map was still being worked on and updated with Stranger Things 4 content. So this leads us to believe that behind the scenes, Dead by Daylight and Netflix do indeed still have a partnership and a relationship. We do know for a fact that chapters take around 9 to 12 months to successfully be created head to toe. So, if this leak was discovered around this time last year, then it would make a lot of sense for Stranger Things to jump into the game now, all of the content to be dropped 9 to 12 months later. Now, if you're a Stranger Things fan at all, you know that November 6th is Stranger Things Day, and we thought that we were going to get some teasers last week and a PTB by this point already, but we did not, so we are probably a week late, which means that teaser week is now, and what's coming up pretty soon? Stranger Things Day on November 6th. So, if we start getting teasers, we can probably get a PTB going out by around Stranger Things Day, and that would be an amazing way to celebrate it, bringing it back to Dead by Daylight. If Behavior Interactive really wanted to, they could release one half of the DLC and the other half at a different time. What I mean by this is, Vecna could drop before November 6th in the PTB, and then add the old Stranger Things content back into the game November 6th as a celebration, or the other way around. Maybe Stranger Things will first return to Dead by Daylight with all of its Chapter 1 content on November 6th, and we'll get Vecna afterwards. This is really up to Behavior, but we know that they can probably add it back into the game because they have a relationship with Netflix again. Recently as well, Matthew Cote had an interview with The King, which is another YouTuber about Dead by Daylight, probably one of the biggest YouTubers on Dead by Daylight. When asked about Stranger Things and his relationship with Netflix, all Matthew Cote had to say was he has nothing to say about that right now, and cannot say anything about that right now. So he's probably under a strict NDA and cannot say a thing, because we know that Behavior likes to keep these kind of things secrets up until they're ready to show us. What he for sure didn't say is that Behavior Interactive and Netflix are not at all in contact with each other. He made sure not to say that. He pretty much just didn't answer the question, which is expected, because he cannot give anything away. In the past, Matthew Cote has gone out of his way to say that Behavior Interactive was not responsible for the removal of Stranger Things, consistently blaming Netflix for it. At the time, they had a really bad relationship because of the removal of Stranger Things. This is no longer the case, as Matthew Cote just simply says that he cannot say what the status of Netflix and Behavior is right now. So as we find ourselves in teaser week right now, we should definitely keep our eyes open for anything Stranger Things related, especially closer to Stranger Things Day, November 6th, because this can very much be the return of Stranger Things, and we can be seeing it happen right now for our Chapter 30 killer. This is an incredibly exciting time to be a Stranger Things fan, and for those of you watching who are Stranger Things fans, I'm sure that you are just as excited and just as hopeful that Vecna will be joining the killer roster on Chapter 30. A return of the Stranger Things content, including Nancy, Steve, Jonathan, the Hawkins Lab, and of course the Demogorgon, seems imminent, and I am just very much hoping that it is this year in November, because it seems like a very appropriate time for Stranger Things to come back. So yeah guys, these are my thoughts on how Stranger Things will be coming back to Dead by Daylight alongside Vecna as our Chapter 30 killer, and I am remaining very, very optimistic about this. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And just thank you for all the support you've been giving me lately. I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one.